Hello, welcome to Pressure Point. My name is Valerie Dudoward. I'm your host for this program. And this program, we are going to be talking about a topic that we've called Rebirth in the Face of Darkness. An intriguing title, and I have an intriguing guest to share some information with us. Welcome, Willie Blackwater, to our program.
Thank you.
Probably, if you watch this program after we have filmed it, you'll be noticing underneath your name, residential school survivor. And I think to a lot of people that may seem surprising or intriguing or might raise a lot of questions. And I think a really good place to start in maybe one sentence for those people who may not be aware of what a residential school is if you could share what that is in Canada.
It's a place where Native children are sent to get better education and stuff by the DIA, better upbringing. A place where people go. The DIA sends their Native children to, how to say, to get themselves better educated and stuff like that toward their life skills and stuff like that. So.
And was this voluntary for all Aboriginal people, or could they choose not to do that?
Well, we didn't have a choice in it. So, as far as I remember, we were just told we were going, and that was the end of the story. I didn't really want to go. I begged my family, but then they said the DIA said I had to go, so I was carted off to go. You know.
I'd like our viewers to have a chance to picture in their minds what it was like for you. First of all, how old were you?
I was 10 years old when I first went to residential school.
And you are from an incredibly beautiful part of British Columbia. The traditional name of your community is Gitsigukla?
Yes. Originally I'm from Kispiox, but I've been in the Gitsigukla band for quite a number of years now. I think about eight years, something like that. I moved over there in 83, I think I moved to Gitsigukla.
So at the time you were living in north central British Columbia, and did you have any idea, did your parents have an opportunity to explain to you what was going to be happening to you? And also, were you speaking in English at that time?
I was going to the Indian Day School in Kispiox before I got sent to residential school, and the only time we spoke English is in school, but we were just learning it. But I spoke our own Kitsang traditional language quite fluently. I was sort of the interpreter for my grandparents when they were speaking to non-Aboriginal people, so dealing with them.
So you were brought from the care of your grandparents without necessarily their truly voluntary consent, because this was the law at that time.
Yes, my real mother passed away with our only sister, so and my father was out working all the time to try and provide a better life for ourselves and plus for him, and our grandparents just took charge of myself. My other two brothers were off in residential school already, so I was brought up by my grandparents, James and Mary Blackwater.
And so you traveled to Port Alberni to the residential school there. How did you get there?
We came in by a Greyhound bus, and
what year was this?
This was in 64 when I first came to Port Alberni. So. And the bus trip usually started from Prince Rupert because that's where I usually get on from, because that's where my dad used to, and my mother used to work for a living in Castor Cannery, so we get board a bus in Prince Rupert and then take a long trip. I don't know, it seemed like forever because it's the first time I ever left home in my life, my short life in 10 years. So it was scary, and I didn't know where we were going, didn't know what I was going to be like,
So what was an average day like for you once you were introduced to the residential school and your requirements?
Well, when we first arrived at Port Alberni Residential School, we were introduced to which supervisor was going to be looking after us, and they took us to the dormitory and told us that, this is what it's going to be, the rules and regulations and stuff like that. And it didn't seem too bad. Like, it's sort of nice when we first got there, and the atmosphere seemed to be pretty good until after things started settling in, and then we really found out what it was truly about, So.
And for you and what you have initiated in terms of legal action, what was it really all about?
In my first week there, my supervisor, Mr. Plint.
And he was a supervisory role in the school at the
Supervisor for a dormitory. Like, we were all placed in different dormitories according to our age group, because we were in a dorm where I think it was about 8 or 9 years old up to about 12 years old, and all the teenagers were out in a different building altogether. So, and but we're into the first week there. I was woken up in the middle of the night. I didn't know what time it was, but it was the middle of the night. I woke up on there's Mr. Plint, and he motioned for me to be quiet. And he whispered to me that I had to go to the office pretty quick because there's an emergency phone call from my family, and he mentioned that it was from my father. So I got up immediately and went to his room, to the office, and then the phone was off the hook, all right. But then when I got there, he put it back on. He said that because I went in there first, and the phone. I remember the phone was off the hook, and he put it back on after he came in behind me, closed the door. He said, "Well, there wasn't really a call at all, because he just needed to talk to me, And I started getting scared, and I didn't know what to do, so I sat down, and he kept rubbing my back, told me it's going to be all right and stuff like that. And then and he said I was somebody that he took a liking to, and that, and he said that, boys like me will get be treated special, better than the other kids.
Yes.
And I didn't know what he was talking about. And I kept telling him I wanted to go back to bed. And he says, "Well, no, I come with me. I'll show you something, right?" So he brought me. I didn't know at the time until that night that he had a bedroom that's got a door right in his office that was led to his bedroom, and that's where he brought me. And when he brought me in there, he took his robe off, and he faced me, and I tried to run out of the room, and he just grabbed me and pushed me on the bed, and he told me I had to stay there, otherwise I'll be in deep trouble. And he told me to take my pajamas off, because I did that, and then he started playing with me, and he put his mouth on my penis, and then he made me do the same thing to him.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept playing with this up until he ejaculated in my mouth, and I was trying to get sick, and then that's when he grabbed my hair and he told me that I better not let get anything on his bed, otherwise I wasn't get hurt.
So this was not a one-time thing that happened to you?
No, that was the first time, and then the second time was before the end of September again. It's probably last week that he brought me to his room. See, when I left the first time, he told me that when I wake you up now, he says, you gotta come quietly, otherwise, I said, I can hurt you pretty bad if you don't come, and in front of everybody, and then everybody will know what you're doing to me, and
so he tried to shame you with that.
And the second time is when he made me do the same things again, and he did it to me. And, but this time he turned me over on my stomach, and that's when he penetrated me, and I was starting to scream. So he just grabbed a pillow and shoved it in my face and told me I better bite on it. If I wake anybody up, then I'd be pretty sorry. And that happened at least once a month for 3 years.
And so you came out of the residential school at what age when you left and you never went back?
I left in, I went as far as grade 12, but I left because I was scared. I didn't want to graduate from there. And I met this girl while I was boarding out, and we had plans to get married and stuff like that, but that word marriage was a dirty word to me, because I didn't think I was capable of marrying anybody after what happened to me.
So in all the years that went on until, what was the January 31st, I believe it was, of 1996, that something very significant happened, and you were the driver behind that. And what was that?
Leading up to that, we from the early age of 13, I think I started relying heavily, and I was pretty addicted to alcohol and drugs. Those were the two main things that drove me, and I didn't care whether I lived or died. I had a family with my first relationship, serious relationship. I had a boy, son, his name is Leroy. His mother left me because I was too abusive, too hostile, too angry whenever I was drinking and stuff like that. So she left me, and forbade me to see my son. I haven't seen him for years, since he was 3 years old. Just seen him periodically once in a while, but not to know him.
So what was the catalyst, Willie, that through what you are describing as the pain and the torment that you endured, and from what you have told me and what you're telling all of us, is that this action and these actions and these behaviors that happened to you did not just affect you, but many other people in your life. What was the thing that changed all of that for you and made you decide to move in a certain direction?
When I first thought about changing my life is when I got into my second relationship with my spouse now, common law spouse now, Vivian Russell. It's when she was pregnant with our only child, Letitia. when she was born, I celebrated that night, but it wasn't the same. I couldn't get drunk. And then when I went to see her the next morning, I seen a human being that I can love, because I didn't know I didn't know what love was about then. But I seen a newborn baby, and that's when I vowed to myself that I will never ever lose that one again, like the way I lost my son. So she's my pride and joy now.
Mm-hmm. Did you have some encouragement from the ministry within the church to step forward with what had happened to you?
See, I quit drinking on my own, and then I kept getting these urges to go back to drinking. So I finally remembered one night I dreamt of my grandmother, and I remember what she said, that whenever you're in dire need of help, you always call on the Lord, and God will help you through everything. So I started attending church by myself for a while, and then I found that the church wasn't as bad as I made them out to be. See, I hated the church all my life since I left residential school. And I found that they weren't really the ones to be blamed. They were just sort of a tool that the government used to get their biddings done. So I started bringing my little girl, because I wanted her to know that church is a place to be. And I talked with a minister there, Gabriel. I forgot her last name, but she's a pretty nice lady. She's very caring, you know. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what really broke the ice, is because I hated all white people, whether they be male or female. I hated every one of them, because I thought they were the real cause of what has happened to me, because Flint is a white man, you know. So
because they were like the devil to you in your mind, in a way, I guess.
Yeah.
So you brought a very, very significant case to court. Mm-hmm. And what was that? And where are you at with that now?
Okay, we charged Mr. Flint. When I first charged him, we thought, you know, when Gilbert and I, a friend of mine up there, when we charged him, we thought we'd be the only ones, because he was starting to feel really bad too. And then he finally talked to me when he heard that I was laying charges. He says, "Oh, are you really?" I says, "Yeah." He says, "Well, I'm going to do it too." And he says, "My brother's going to be with us." So we were pretty happy. We thought we were the only three until we finished laying our charges. And then it got back to us that two brothers, Mel and Sandgood, already brought charges through the provincial level. And I was going up to the Supreme level because they lost it in provincial level or something like that. But anyway, it got up, and then next thing I know, there was 18 of us. So we went to court on March 20th and 21st in Port Alberni. Of
1995.
Yeah, 1995. And that's when Mr. Flint was charged and convicted of sexually assaulting 18 of us. So, and Check 6 News did a quick interview with Peter Grant. He's our senior attorney, Peter Grant. He's a senior attorney for us, and David Patterson, he's another partner of procedures, and myself. They did an interview, and he says, "Well, are you guys happy, you know, and it's that you guys finally got justice done?" And that's when we first released that that's only the first step in our journey. Somebody has to take responsibility for what has happened to us, and that somebody is the people who funded and started the residential school system to begin with, and that was the government. And as I said, the United Church, who was running the Port Alberni at the time, was just a scapegoat, and I realize that now. And I'm quite heavily involved in the ministry now. I go to church quite a bit, and when I haven't gone here because I'm pretty busy, but yes. But I always believe in the Lord and stuff like that. I have my faith fully back into the Lord. And I'm heavily involved with the Native Ministry of BC now. I'm one of the delegates there. I go to all their conventions and stuff like that, conferences.
For those people who may be like me, who's one of my parents went to residential school in Alert Bay at St. Michael's and didn't have a bad experience in any way. And I know there are a lot of Aboriginal people in this province who might be saying to themselves, well, heck, I didn't have a bad experience, so I don't feel like I have a buy-in here, or I don't feel like I know how to get involved. How can all of us help support all of the people who are now regaining their memories or always had their memories and are bringing those memories forward in a process of healing which may involve court action? How can we be supportive?
Well, most people that will be disclosing or to have the courage to disclose, they'll disclose to somebody that they're really close to. It might be an immediate family or it might be the minister or something. The main thing is to believe them, because all their lives they haven't been believed. That's why that it took so long, 30 years before this came out, this court action came out, and is to fully believe them and support them, be supportive of them, behind them all the time, and give them general direction of where to go, who and best be able to deal with that, and lots of counseling. Like I see. I thought just crazy people see psychiatrists and counselors, you know.
Oh, I think that's a message so many of us get, don't you?
Yeah.
All of us.
But seriously, counselors and psychiatrists are a big help. I see one psychiatrist steadily, quite frequently, and I see a counselor quite frequently. So, and another thing now is there's more education coming out about sexual abuse. It's happening in our own communities, not just in Native communities, but it's happening in communities, even a big community like this, it's happening.
Like Vancouver.
Oh yeah, and even small reserves where I'm
small
from, you know.
towns or reserves.
It's happening all over the place because it's one of the things that was learned. It's not something that we're born with. It's something that we learned through the learned behavior through residential schools and stuff like that. They're part of one of the main factors of residential schools. And there's a lot of denial of it going on.
That was the question that was coming to my mind as I almost interrupted you there, which is there a role that our Aboriginal leadership is playing or could be playing? Where are they in this?
Lots of leaders, Aboriginal leaders, are pretty confused now about how to approach or confront this problem. Maybe it's because of their own experience. Maybe it's because they might have had something to do with it, or maybe they experienced it themselves, and shame, guilt, and they don't want to bring it out. And but I have a dear friend from Haisla,
Which is
Rob,
the Kitimat area.
Kitimat area, yeah, Kitimat, the village of Kitimat. He's a chief there, Rob Robinson.
Yes.
I admire that man. He's got courage, as much courage. Everybody says we got courage for what we're doing, but I admire the man because he's got a lot of courage. He's a chief of the village there. He was at our court case. And when he went back, he told me about how he wrote a letter to every individual in every household in the community saying that he was part of the residential school system, what had happened to him in the residential school system. And now they started the support group in the village, and from what I hear from Vi Smith, I think her name is that it's working really good, and they got whole community involvement now, and that's the kind of leadership we need, is somebody to be open and honest about what had happened to them, so it'll stop with the younger generation, put a halt to it and live a better functional life.
Some of our elders and some of our not so elders have shared with all of us within the Aboriginal community and in the more mainstream society, that we're on a journey of healing, and that out of all of the turmoil and suffering that Aboriginal people all around the world have been in, that we will become stronger and that we will be able to walk taller. What is your philosophy in all of that?
I think with the support of each other we can. I always have the great belief that we will overcome all the obstacles that have been thrown in front of us, and we will all come out of our darknesses, come out of our shells. That's all what most of us are in residential schools that have been abused. It's not just sexual abuse in residential school. There's emotional, physical, all sorts of abuse. And so we're all in this little shell, and once that shell cracks and start breaking open, we're going to need each other, and we'll need each other more than we ever did in our lives before, and support each other. And what we're doing, what my group and myself are doing, we filed a big
Like
multi-million dollar civil action against the government of Canada. You know, it's not a class action; it's a group action with individual claims right now. So
that's pending before the courts.
Yes, we filed that in January 31st of this year, 1996, and we're expecting the federal government's legal attorneys to reply by the end of this month or early in March sometime. Then we'll set a court date and everything. But we're taking one step at a time. We don't look too far in the future, and we don't have really a figure in mind right now, but we're just working out the details with our attorneys. So there's lots of work to be done yet, and it's just to open up people's eyes and see that, you know, like, there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's something that we have to do not to better our own lives, but to better the lives of our children, our future generation.
Because those are the very people whose lives have been touched and whose lives we want to make so much better. Willie Blackwater, I thank you so much for being our guest on this program of Pressure Point.
It's been quite an honor, and I especially love talking about it. I like talking about it.
Thank you so much. My name is Valerie Dudoward. This has been Pressure Point, Rebirth in the Face of Darkness. Thank you for joining us.
The preceding program was produced through the facilities of Rogers Community 4, Vancouver. We want to hear from you and invite you to leave your comments and suggestions on our 24-hour response line message machine. Please call 731-5812.